Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Sunita Punjabi, ABT, your brain coach. We are back to talk about PTSD Awareness Month, and it's particularly relevant. There's a new bit of research that's coming out, and it's called post traumatic or pandemic PTSD. Remember, we've been talking about PTSD all month and how we can get to the diagnosis of PTSD. What is it? We talked about earlier that it's actually a mechanism that your brain uses to protect you. When you are being attacked, the brain goes in hyperdrive. In the previous videos, we talked about a car. When a car has to go up a hill, it needs more power. So you put the car into overdrive and it gets you up the hill. But once you're up the hill, the car can go back to normal and it can go down the hill. PTSD is your brain goes into hyperdrive because it's dealing with a perceived attack. Now, it could actually be real. The attack could actually be real. But either way, the brain is cognizant, it perceives an attack, and it's that perception that pushes the brain into hyperdrive. So it doesn't even have to be a real danger. And sometimes it is a real danger, right? But the point is that when we go into PTSD, we go into hyperdrive, our car is in overdrive, and then it should be able to go down and relax. But with PTSD, it doesn't. So originally, we used to call this battle mind. Years ago, this was called um, battle fatigue. Now we know it's post traumatic stress disorder, and it is not reserved for just soldiers. Anyone that has faced constant attack or perceived attack can go into PTSD mode. You can go and have a PTSD situation in your brain because of a work situation. You constantly feel attacked. A bullying situation can easily take young students into PTSD mode. And when the brain is in PTSD mode, there's usually other things such as fatigue, anxiety, chronic depression that will follow. Now, what does this have to do with the pandemic? If you think about it, 2.5 years ago, when originally the pandemic was in its own hyperdrive, when that's all we were talking about, and a lot of people thought the world was going to end. It didn't end, but the trauma, the battles, the little fights, the little bombs exploding did continue. An economy where the gas prices are doubling and people are finding it's getting more and more expensive just to get to work. Or they're finding that groceries are costing one third, 33%, or 50% more than it did a few months ago. Those are all little bombs that are exploding for the brain of anyone. And we're talking about now a global pandemic. There's a global PTSD. Now, can we correlate some of the recent violent behaviors with this PTSD that's pandemic related? You better believe it. With PTSD, the brain eventually needs to find an outlet. It needs to find relief. Usually, when the brain is confronted with an attack, it can solve it. With PTSD, the attacks just keep coming and the brain gets agitated. It goes into overdrive. And if you can imagine like a cat that's holding on, with its claws, that's what PTSD feels like. We go into survival mode, actually. So, what it looks like is we start to isolate. That's right. If we isolated during the pandemic and when everything was going haywire, we may still feel the need to isolate because of the uncertainty. So let's take this back a little bit. Originally, we call this battle mind, or we called it battle fatigue, right? Bombs exploding. Then we started to learn that anyone could have PTSD. A child that's being abused by a parent. Wow, a bomb explodes. They never know when the parent is going to be abusive, or a spouse. They never know when their partner is going to be abusive. Well, what's happening in our world today? Is there certainty? The leaders that we used to count on. A lot of people are telling me they don't trust the authorities. The CDC is in question. We used to think that the CDC was the ultimate source of accurate information, whether it's true or not. But a lot of people right now are telling me they don't trust the CDC. They don't trust doctors. They don't trust politicians. They don't trust what's being told to them on the news. People are now seeking alternative news, alternative resources for information. Gun control, lack of gun control, all of these things that we thought we could count on are now coming into question. So, unlike we've ever seen before, anxiety and depression rates are on an all-time high. Use of prescription medication is at an all-time high. The pharmaceutical companies are loving that. But most importantly, people are on the edge more than ever before. Alcoholism is higher. Abuse of recreational substances is higher. More and more people are looking for an escape. The other thing that's happening, I want to talk a little bit about when the brain is in survival mode. And so let's look at PTSD is actually in the primal part of your brain, the part that's connected to your heart, your lungs, your spinal cord, your nervous system. So the PTSD brain is functioning mostly from a survival mechanism. The front of your brain, which I have fondly called the goal setter. This is where your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations are stored. Elaborate thinking, detailed planning. If this is a part of you and you're in survival mode, if this is your fight or flight center, which it is, this center, this spot is now being drowned out by emergency signals. There is no time to really plan. And you'll notice that we tend to procrastinate more. As human beings, we're going to have a higher propensity to delay. We're going to have a higher propensity to put planning and goal setting off. We're going to stop dreaming and being hopeful. And I'm seeing this, guys, at an amazing rate. I'm talking to 20, 21-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 18-year-olds that are deciding that even if they get married, they don't want to have children because of the unpredictability. So what that should tell us is our younger generation is kind of losing hope. Global warming is another thing that's a big issue. Is it real? It doesn't matter. But to some brains, there's a lifeline. In other words, there's an expiration date on the planet. So if you're 20 years old and that's the future of our world, if you're 20 years old and you don't feel like there's a promising future, if you feel that your future is uncertain, there are different behaviors that you might engage in. So as an adult that's counting on people that are younger than me to control the future or to help be leaders of our future, I'm also uncertain because I see that the 20-year-olds are uncertain and don't have faith. So guys, we're sort of in this really perfect storm. If you've ever seen the movie The Perfect Storm, things came together to cause this horrific storm that eventually drowned the ship and the people in it. In a way, we are facing a storm. And it's not perfect, but it's perfect if we don't care about ourselves and our futures and our mental health. Right now, with inflation the way it is, with uncertainty, with political upheaval, with the shootings that we're seeing, with the violence that we're hearing about on the news, very few of us will be able to direct attention to planning and living life. Engagement is the new term that's been used. It's been used before, but now we're talking a lot about people disengaging from life. And they're not dead. They're not trying to kill themselves. They're sort of in between. They're not really living and they don't want to die. They're sort of, a lot of people are in this holding pattern and it's more a numbness is setting in. And if you are feeling this, or if you know someone that might be feeling this, please like this video, send it to people. There is many, many ways out. We don't have to live in this numbness. We don't have to live in survival base, in a survival mode. So this is your brain coach letting you know great times are ahead of us. I don't mean to depress all of you. I know I sound so sad and this is such difficult information, but I'd rather you know and be ready and help people around you. Even if you're not feeling it and this isn't happening to you, that is awesome. But it may happen to someone that you love. It may happen to your children. It may happen to your neighbors. The point is, find out about it. Don't resist learning, because ignorance is not bliss. Not knowing can actually cost the life of a friend or someone that you know or a family member. This is your brain coach telling you that life can be by design no matter what is happening. Listen to us as we keep talking about life by design and overcoming PTSD symptoms. Thank you so much. This is your brain coach signing out.